Never shall innocent blood be shed, yet the blood of the wicked shall flow like a river. The three shall spread their blackened wings and be the vengeful striking hammer of God. You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. All eyes to the front. You must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
It is your evil that will be sought by us.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down.
Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies.
Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace.
These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost.
There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain.
But if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it.
And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
How far are we gonna take this, Star?
The question is not how far. The question is, do you possess the Constitution? The depth of faith to go as far as is needed?
They exited out the front door. They had no idea what they were in for. Now they're staring at 6 men with guns drawn. It was a fucking ambush. This was a fucking bomb dropping on Beaver Cleaverville. For a few seconds, this place was Armageddon. There was a firefight! Son of a bitch!
Well, hello there, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing this fine evening?
I'm disturbed.
Oh, okay. What's up, Steve?
Oh, the title of the show is about free money. I want to know, is it my skin color or is it the dangly bits between my legs that are going to prevent me from getting it?
Well, in this particular case, it'll be the dangly bits that are your.
Oh, damn. Well, I'm not going to go that trans route, so I guess I'll just have to suffer through it. Make my own way.
Like you and every other male who calls himself a man, I have to explicitly exclude the trannies here. So,
yeah, okay.
What are we actually talking about tonight? Well, I'm sure you guys have seen it in the news that President Trump is floating this idea of a $5,000. I think it's going to be actually done as a tax credit. It's more of an idea because Congress hasn't actually done anything with it yet. But the reason he's floating this tax credit is because he and Elon Musk have been waxing poetic about the total fertility rate, the TFR. We don't have enough babies being born in the United States.
Shocker.
Well, the thought process that Trump has is the same thought process that Trump has for pretty much all problems, is that all problems can be solved with the appropriate application of economic forces, whatever that.
Oh, just throw money at it?
Well, or, like he's a big fan of tariffs, which is kind of the inverse of throwing money at a problem. So, but yeah, he like, I'm trying to build my case here that the guy sees the world entirely in the form of economics, which, look,
So
he's famous for it.
Is he a Max Weber or Karl Marx?
Does it matter for the purposes of figuring out how he thinks? I mean, seriously, because he does things that you could say are explicitly Marxist, or he fronts ideas that are, at the same time that he fronts ideas that Marx would find unconscionable. Yeah, tactic is actually that's a good way of thinking about it. That everything is for sale, everything, Trump, and I think he's actually talked about this in his books. Trump firmly believes that every human has a price, has a number.
Well, I've heard some comments, analysis of Trump. The last guy that talks to him is the one who bends his ear and the way he goes. And these are people more on the right end of the spectrum say, yeah, he's not a deep thinker. He just kind of shoots from the hip, goes with whatever he heard last. So, okay, that could be. So he floats this trial balloon because it's not law yet. It's just talking, to get a flavor, get a sense of what are the people going to say. So this trial balloon of paying women to have kids, is it a trial balloon? Or is it going to turn into a lead balloon? Regardless, you know what? This is going to have the same effect as a fart in a windstorm.
Pretty much. It's does anyone know what the average cost of a childbirth is in the United States right now?
Yes, it's about 10,000.
I'm guessing
with
20.
Insurance. With insurance, right now, the average person will pay somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000 for a childbirth in the United States. That's with insurance. Okay.
What's it cost for a welfare woman to have a kid?
Oh, well, nothing because they're on Medicaid. But
okay.
So that, believe it or not, that's actually the trick. Get yourself on Medicaid and then having kids is free. And so, like there, we've solved the problem, guys. We have solved the birth rate problem, put all women on Medicare. Boom, done. Ah, shit. Wait. How's that working out for us? Well, as a matter of fact, I have some data on this because, we were talking a little bit before the show, and Nick was saying that he likes the data dump shows. Well, here we go. I have some data for you. Specifically, this is now, by the way, this data comes from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. They run a database called FRED. It is probably the most comprehensive collection or database of financial and economic statistics on the planet. The amount of data in here is just mind-blowing. Okay. So we're actually going to refer to Fred a few times tonight. But this is the total fertility rate for the United States since 1980. The data goes back to 1960. But we've talked about this at length in the red pill, and everyone says, "Oh, this is birth control." Okay, well, the pill comes on the market about in here. What the hell happened in here?
And that's when? From 1960 to
1970.
60 to 70? Okay.
Feminism.
Yeah, this
It's
wasn't...
a boom,
this,
then boom. It's a double whammy.
Yeah. This was not the pill. The pill comes on the scene in here somewhere, right? Okay. This is the actual
decline.
Yeah, this is the actual data, guys. Like, we like to blame the pill, but
okay, when did the pill actually come out?
It comes out in the early 60s, but it doesn't get widely available until the late 60s or early 70s.
The first mention of the pill was in around not the pill. Contraception was in 1930. Up until 1930, no Christian churches of any flavor anywhere condoned contraception. None. Zero. Then the Anglican Church came out and said, well, in certain circumstances, it's okay. This was in 1930. And I think that's when the Catholic Church responded with Casti Connubii, the encyclical Casti Connubii. And okay, so Anglican Church led the way, and then more and more churches said, yeah, okay, we can go along with that. And the Catholic Church officially never did, but it's pretty much all Catholics do it now, and the church has chosen to be silent on that and not really hammer at that. So, okay, it's pretty much universal, but it was unheard of prior to 1930, and it's taken a long time to implement. But I'm still not saying that this is the cause of things, although it's probably a contributing factor.
So the pill was first approved for use in the United States in 1960. Okay. But by 1962, only 1.2 million Americans American women were on it. Only 1.2 million. The pill did not get popular until here. The pill was not widespread until much later. Okay. And this is, I'm pulling from Wikipedia in the AMA here. I don't have it up on screen, but I've got it on one of my other monitors. Okay. This decline, and we don't have any data going back any further than that. So, but this decline happens in spite of birth control. This was happening anyway. 1962 only 1.2 million women are on it. That is less than 1% of American women alive at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, as numbers go, it doesn't actually matter for modifying total fertility rates. Okay, the pill gets popular in the 1970s, but that's
So
actually what's occurring here. So
when was the peak prior to 1960? What was
it was in the 1950s. It was the quintessential baby boom.
Okay, so what's the event? What's the thing that changed it? When there's a sea change or a dramatic change in a trend or a curve, what happened?
Well, if you believe that the TradCons and the church, the pill happened. But a closer reading of the data suggests that the pill was merely a concurrent.
I'm going to say a few things. So there's a flight from farms to the cities. There's increase of feminism, so
Mhm.
they tend not to like children. Also, well, women in the workplace. Babies tend
Oh,
to get in the way of that.
Nick, what was happening a lot in the 1960s? Specifically, women in the workplace.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
And
okay.
then in 73, you see a sharp decline. That was Roe versus Wade was passed.
Yeah, that's this right here.
Yeah. So, that's a really steep decline right there at 1970 through the 1975.
Yep. Kind of levels out in 73. This is
Yeah, it levels out to like
Okay.
1.7 or something.
right. Yeah. 1.8.
Okay, it's
And what's
resident
replacement levels?
Catholic.
Guys, yeah, that's actually a great question, Nick. For reference, for all of this data, replacement level is 2.1. For anytime we're talking about this, you must be at 2.1 or higher. So the last year that the US was at replacement was 1971. We have never gotten above it.
It's replacement
Okay.
2.1.
We did it for a couple years there.
Okay.
We did for a couple.
You know what? I think we should blame the Catholics.
Okay.
I mean, that's an easy scapegoat.
Okay, go ahead. I'm Catholic. And I'm going to bring in the Catholic perspective. What happened in the early 60s? Catholic wise.
Vatican II.
Yeah. It started to be talked about late 50s, early 60s. They were rambling about it. There was a lot of controversy. Okay, we're going to do it. I think it came out in 65 or something. But there was a lot of rabble rousing, societal too. We were kind of moving from the beatniks to the hippies. It was kind of this era of free love, moving. I mean, there was just societal changes that, yeah, the church needed to address, the Catholic Church, I mean. But whether you're Catholic or not, it just was a time of transition of mindsets.
That was definitely occurring back then, and we did a show on that called Cultural History way long time ago. Steve and my dad got to have some fun reminiscing about their childhoods. So, like this is not this fertility rate problem is not a new problem, and so people are going to be. The next question I'm going to get is, okay, well, what happened here in the 1990s and to mid 2000s? Why do we have this 15-year sort of bump? Where did that come from?
Remember
Well,
having kids.
Well, it's a little bit of an artifact of how the data is calculated. Specifically, you guys remember this chart, okay? That 19. So this is American demographics, U.S. demographics for 2025. It's a projection, but we're projecting the final the fifth year out of with 4 years of data, so it's pretty accurate. And if you look, this is that same bulge right in here. That 1990 is right here. 1995, 2000, 2005. Okay, and that's that bulge. Well, where does that come from? Well, that actually comes from this bulge up here higher on the flag. Okay, or higher on the graph, 1965. And the way TFRs are calculated is it's just per women. It's not childbearing age women, it's all women. Okay. And this fact is actually going to become key when we look at the TFRs of other countries, particularly, and we're going to save this for last because it's a TradCon favorite. But when we look at Hungary, you're going to see something that looks very similar to this. And then I'm going to show you Hungary's demographic profile, and you're going to go, aha. So the TFRs tend to go up when there's a bulge in the childbearing age. When the bulge of women in childbearing age, because TFR does not. Go ahead.
There's a simple way to understand this. It's about a 20-year echo.
Correct.
Baby is born. And the echo comes back. Yeah. More babies are born about, 20, 25 years later.
It's gotten up to be closer to 25, 30 years now. But
yeah, 25, 30. Okay. Yeah. But it's an echo effect of a prior surge.
Right.
That's a simple way to understand it.
Right. So your prior, so you have your 1960 peak up here, and then starting in 1985, 25 years. Oh, look, it turns around a bit. Then it lasts for, in this case, lasts for about 30 years. It was it's hard to understate. It's really hard to describe just how important the baby boom era was to the United States in terms of birth and fertility rates. Okay. But that is this right here on the thing on the chart. So whenever you see this bump here, just understand that it's a 25 to 30 year echo of what was happening before. Okay. So we mentioned, of course, Trump and his baby bonus. Now, this is from ABC News. This is a large organization that does not like Trump. One such proposal that has been pitched to the White House, to White House advisors, is a $5,000 baby bonus to every American mother. I want to zoom in on that right there. Mother. For new mothers. Okay? And it goes on to, talk about, how. By the way, Carolyn.
Where's the father?
Well, this doesn't specifically mention fathers because it's not targeted to fathers. It's mothers. See?
Oh wait. So you can have a woman on it would be what, Medicaid, right?
Medicaid, yeah.
Paying $0 for a kid, right?
Uh-huh.
And then getting $5,000 on top of that.
That is 100% true and accurate statement.
So is this a mischaracterization of the problem? Really, let me ask you this. Is the problem the low birth rate or the low number of children being raised in a home where the father is present.
They're both symptoms of a deeper problem.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Or
have to agree with
results of a
Nick.
deeper problem. Results of a
Okay,
deeper
so
problem.
what was the population of the U.S. in 1940? 140, 150 million?
Yeah, give me a sec. I can look this up.
I'm pretty sure it was around that. So that was right before World War II. Our men had jobs, they were productive, women weren't in the workforce. We were doing quite well. Okay, we were coming out of the Depression. Okay. And we ramped up, and damn, we found enough men to put what, 2-3 million men in uniform to go fight the war, make all the shit, and then they came back, and damn, we had enough labor force in this country with about 150, 160 million by then people to do quite well.
By the way, Steve,
And then we had a boom. Yeah.
it was 132 in 1940. 132 million.
Oh, okay. So, okay, the number of babies born was not that high then. So, but they were born with fathers in the house. So, as thought exercise, could we get along with the number of children born today with a much larger population? But the number of children, if there were fathers in the home with raising these kids with some boundaries and discipline to be productive, men to be productive, go out and do things, and women to be mothers and have intact families. Do we need this many people? Is the birth rate the problem, or is the bigger problem fatherless kids?
Well, I looked it up. The population of the United States in 1970, and I want to point out here, guys, that this is all before the big immigration laws came into effect. Hart-Celler was 1965, but immigration really didn't pick up until 1990. The census in 1970 counted 203. So we added 70 million people in 30 years.
70 million. We're at 350 now. What was the population in 1990?
In 1990, it
What?
was 248.
Say that. 248. Okay. You got cut off there, or I didn't hear it right.
Okay. So in 1990 was 248. 1970, when birth control became really popular, was 203. But in the space of 30 years, this is how important the baby boom was. In the space of 30 years, we added 70 million people. In the following 20 years, we added 45 million.
And a lot of that, some of that was immigration.
Yeah, and some of
A
that
lot of it. In recent years.
Yeah, well, yeah, and particularly Hart-Celler passed in 1965. That kicked it off. 1990 actually has really accelerated it. We don't have this data. I cannot get it for you.
Well,
because it is illegal to collect it. But with that total fertility rate includes all of the first generation immigrants who have kids. If you were to back out those immigrants, we have no idea what it would be, but not good.
I'm going to jump to the conclusion. You can't increase the birth rate by incentivizing women monetarily. Nope, not going to work. And the birth rate is not the biggest problem. Well, maybe it is the biggest. I don't know. But there's a third problem. Children being raised with a father in the house in authority over that child. You can, even if you magically increase the birth rate, but you didn't raise the number of children raised by fathers, you wouldn't solve anything. In fact, your problem might get worse because Nick has talked about, gee, the number of single or children raised by single mothers, the boys end up with crime problems and the girls end up as unwed mothers.
And psychological problems as well associated with all that. So,
Well, yes, I mean that is Steve just jumping to the end. We can end the stream now, guys. That's it. There we go. We're done.
oh, like any good paper, you have to say that say the end from the beginning, and at the end you restate the beginning and restate what you've proved. So,
Oh, but Steve, it gets better. There's something that came out this week. I got another one for you here.
Okay, good. Oh, cruise.
It's called the MAGA account. It stands for Money Account for Growth and Advancement. MAGA, har har. This is actually in the current spending bill that's being voted on right now. So this is a little more closer to actually happening. And the idea is to seed. Now he says seed. What he means is the government will install $1,000 into tax advantaged, which means that you do not have to pay any income tax on them or whatnot. I think of it like an IRA. Okay. For every newborn baby with a social security number. Now, for all you following the immigration fight, if you're born in this country, you get a social security number. Period. End of discussion. It's called anchor babies sometimes, or chain migration is another term you'll hear for it. Mom comes to the U.S., has the baby here, gets the social security number, and then the baby petitions to import the mom, which through, I'm not even sure how a baby can legally petition for anything, but they have that set up. So there you go. So this is, I believe right now, this is only going to be running for 4 years, and then they'll have to renew it. That was in a different article, but here's where it comes back to the 5,000. The money in each U.S. child's account can accumulate interest and value by investing in equities, while friends, families, and employers are free to contribute up to 5,000 annually, which is a lot like an IRA. I'll bet this is actually done as an IRA under the hood. Of course, Wall Street loves this idea because it's yet another way to shove your tax money back to the street. And that's all this would do. Okay.
So friends and family contribute this $5,000. It doesn't even come from the government, or is this a different 5,000?
No. So the government does the 1,000 initial, and then similar to an IRA limit, your friends, families, and employers are able to, is how I read that, are allowed to contribute up to 5,000.
Trump talking about 5,000. It's really not 5,000. It's 1,000. So
it sure do look that way, don't it?
Is this blowing smoke up my nether regions?
Would that be the first time?
No. And I want to make a comment about Cruz's proposal here. He's paying money for women to spread their legs.
you're not.
Well, hey, how do you get the birth rate up? Don't women have to spread their legs to get the birth rate up?
Yeah, okay. So, but that's what he's doing.
Hey, Tacticus.
Birth rate alone is just going to make the country better. Not necessarily.
Later on, I imagine we can have a discussion about the definition of better. But hey, Tacticus, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably something like that. It kind of reads like an IRA, but yeah, who knows what they'll end up actually doing. This has not passed through Congress yet, so it is still subject to change.
Wait, okay, there's women. Okay, on my basic level of thinking, women act in the now. They go, what's good for them now? What's incentive now? So you're gonna give them $1,000 tax deferred in
No, this gives the this is separate in that this gives the
Okay.
kid, the parent can't touch the money, supposedly. They can't pull it out.
for now. But yeah,
Yes.
you know what? I don't think it's not cash in hand to the woman. So I don't know that she's gonna really plan.
Well,
You
the
know, $1,000 at the end of the year, I don't know about that.
well, they can always go back and do this. They can just say, "Oh no, this is this Ted Cruz thing is separate from the new mother's thing." And it technically is. The money goes to the way I read it, the money goes to the kid when they turn 18, and the rules on it were they can use it to invest, but they can also use it to start a business, or there's different qualified activities they can do. So, sorry, a video started on that. Uh, so anyway, that's kind of where the U.S. is right now. But look, economics has been tried before. It's actually been tried by quite a few. So now we're gonna go up here to South Korea. Oh shit. This so South Korea at 2015 was 1.24, we'll call it. As of last reporting in 2023, it's 0.7.
Wow.
It's half. Drop it
Yeah,
by
effectively.
50%.
Yeah, effectively.
Dang, feminism killed that country.
Yeah. And the South Koreans still don't know what happened. Here's a look at the South Korean population pyramid. This is a disaster. And I don't know any other way. This is how countries die right here. This 0 to 10 block. Let's see if I can zoom into it. No, it's yeah. There we go.
So
Yeah, that's the
when you
best I
were
can
a
do.
kid, do you remember taking those twirly things, like spinning it like a top? And it was fat on the top, and it was skinny at the bottom, and it would spin for a while,
Yeah.
and then it would fall over.
Well,
This looks like a top.
it's because
spinning top.
that's what happens. You see, when you're age 50, you don't have kids in the house, so you're not paying for kids anymore, but you're very technically adept at your job, so you probably are making quite a bit of money. So what do? You jam that money back into the stock market or whatever your preferred investment vehicle is, so that you can retire when you hit 65 and pull all that money out. So investment tends to be high, consumption spending tends to be high because everybody who has money has nothing else to spend it on. There are no grandchildren to spend it on, clearly, right? So these economies look fantastic for about 20 years.
So just as a reference here, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I adopted 2 daughters from Korea. Okay, you got to back up about 20-ish, 22, 25 years. So it's getting close to that 30, go up to the 30. So
Right
it
here.
looked pretty damn good for Korea. I mean, they still weren't doing too badly. They had a lot of Korean adoptions to the US. Do you think you can adopt a child from Korea now?
Maybe,
Good luck.
but I wouldn't
Good
think
luck.
so.
Well, South Korea, here is their economic policy. So this is their baseline economic policy. Let's see if zoom in a bit here. This is from the Korea Herald. So this is written by a Korean woman. Okay. This is not me. This is not some Western media outlet trying to shade things. This is this is out of Korea, from Korea. Okay. Now, you guys think our currency is fucked? Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
29.6 million won is worth in 2024 $22,000. Okay. Now the Koreans, they split this 22,000 over 8 years after birth. And there's a specific policy. It was 2 million won. It went up to 3 million won from the past year. But they front load a bunch of it. So you get 500,000 for the first 12 months, up to 18 million for the first 2 years. So their policy actually, if economics was the problem, this graduated policy is actually a pretty reasonable, intelligent design. Okay. This is right. You get over half of the money in the first 2 years. Okay, that's when you have to be buying things for the kid, and you've got the big medical bills, and that's all in there.
So up to 18 million. 18 million won in the first 2 years of the child's life, but call it 30 million for the first 8 years.
Yeah.
So you're actually money ahead. And if you consider it over 8 years, you've gotten like 60% of the cost of raising that child.
Yeah.
With a big upfront. It's loaded up front. Wow, this is going to be so successful.
How long have they been trying to do this for?
This particular policy has been around. I don't know if this article mentioned it. It's been around for since 2012, I think.
If it hasn't worked. Okay.
Well, in 2012, their fertility rate was 1.3.
Oh, that's
it went up
bad, but not
0.1?
Catastrophic.
Not even 0.1, maybe?
It was, well, there's another trend that you guys are going to see as I work through this data. And I think this is the thing that really hurts people who cannot do long-term abstract thinking, is when these policies come into place, you tend to get a bump. Okay.
A tiny bump.
Well, we'll get to Hungary, because
Tiny and temporary.
Let me
get
call
to
this.
Hungary.
Can I call this a baby bump?
The data analyst in me is cringing pretty hard over here. But it gets worse or better, I guess, depending on your point of view. So specific South Korean companies, businesses. It's not named here. It's the Booyoung Group. They are a construction firm based in Seoul. Pay employees 100 million won, $75,000 each time they have a baby. Okay. And this article is from earlier February last year, so it's over a year old. So this policy's been in place for over a year. And they are going to backdate it to employees who've had babies since 2021.
Practicus's comment is hilarious.
Tacticus, yeah, it's funny, but honestly, like if you guys understand what he's talking about, the cash for clunkers effect, dude, you are not wrong. You are not wrong at all. I love that connection, dude. Love it. So now we're talking about getting $100,000 to support if you go work for the right company in Korea. Wow. Okay. Wah, 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 wah. I don't have the soundboard effect here, but like, yes, great success, everyone. You've done nothing.
Just throw money at it. They'll have babies.
Oh, okay. Now we're going to do another one that's particularly popular with a certain wing of the right, not all of the right.
Oh, is that the Hungary?
No, we're getting there because Hungary is the one that everyone likes to pull out. We're gonna do this. This is a website called Move to Russia. Why on God's green earth you would do that, I have no idea. But here it is. First child, 7,000. Second child, 9,200. Every other child after that, 9,200. And this indexed annually means it's an inflation adjusted thing. Here's their childbirth allowance. They have one too. They have paid family parental leave. This is probably the biggest one. Family housing. The government subsidies for families to purchase or build their own homes. The program is targeted towards families with children and grants rights a special interest rate mortgage of 6%. They say the interest rate
comes to mind. 2008, 2009 comes to mind.
It should. Now they say that the interest rate in Russia is 12 to 15%. That is wildly optimistic. It's closer to 20%. So okay,
that 6% is even a bigger incentive.
Oh yeah. No, the Russian government has they have a shit. So again, you see that they're now this bump is also partly cultural, but also if you look, there's that echo that Steve was
so
talking.
in 1987 they finally got above replacement levels.
Correct.
Wow.
And then okay. But look at that. 87 to 27 to 2015. Hey, Steve, there's 28
Echo.
years.
That's an echo. That's an echo.
That's your
effect,
echo.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, they had the collapse of the Soviet Union in there. Yeah, that's going to drive it down. But nevertheless, you still see the echo.
Well, here it is. Oh, look. Here it is in their data. This is so I particularly like this chart. This chart is courtesy of Peter Zion, and he annotated it with the various eras. And what Steve was talking about is the post-Soviet collapse right here.
Right.
Okay.
It's dramatic.
It's not good. So, okay. Now, let's see. There is one more that I want to pull up here because Russia has a twofold problem. And I unfortunately have to switch windows because I only have this account on a different. So I'm going to have to move. Stop. So here we go. Okay. Russia has a big problem, and that problem is called the Far East. Is this big enough for you all? Do you need me to make it bigger?
No, that's fine.
Okay. The So this is a translation of an article in Vladivostok, written May 6th of this year. And now, for reference, Vladivostok sits about a 30-minute drive from the border of China, the northern border of China. And Vladivostok is a port, so it sits on the Pacific Ocean, kind of facing out towards Japan, just to kind of orient you guys. We've talked
It's only about what, 8 or 9 time zones away from Moscow.
Yeah, just a little bit away.
Closer. It's closer to Tokyo than Moscow.
Oh, by a lot, by a lot. So this is the local government trying to basically fight for itself, and it's typical legalese, to declare the territory of the Far Eastern a territory of advanced demographic development. I'm not sure what that means, but here's kind of what they're getting at. Look at this. For example, if a woman gives birth to and is raising one child, she receives a salary in the amount of 1 minimum wage. For the second child, a second minimum wage is paid, and so on. Payments are made regardless of whether the woman works or does not work in another paid job. Work on raising children is counted towards the total length of service for calculating pension benefits, what we call Social Security.
Where's the dad?
What did you say, Nick?
I said, where's the father?
Well, woman gets a benefit. Father doesn't. Whether he's there or not, sounds like.
Oh, so it's another way to perpetuate the single mommy problem. Okay.
When creating a family, young people are immediately allocated housing. They're just going to give you a house. The form of ownership can be different: mortgage, social, rental. Social means exactly what you think it means. Here are the keys to your new house. Go. It's probably an apartment in a commie block, but that's different. At the birth of each child, an account is opened for him in a special fund of Far Eastern capital, where an amount of not less than 1 million rubles is credited. That's about $7,000. And this amount can be used when the child reaches 18 years of age to solve the housing issue for education, treatment, etc. Does this not sound exactly like what Ted Cruz did?
Only on steroids. And that part you didn't read: at the birth of the first child, as well as the birth of each subsequent child, the cost of the redemption of housing is reduced by 25%. Okay, so after the 4th child, you get a free house.
Pretty much, yes.
And did this solve the problem?
Well, this hasn't fully gone into effect yet.
Oh, this is a proposal. What do you think of the idea? Okay,
right. As I said, this is the they call it the Far Eastern Federal District, Vladivostok. This is a proposal that they are.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Let me bring this down to my experience. I've been married twice. But let's just go to the second marriage. As long as she stayed married to me, I would pay all the bills because she didn't work. I would pay the property tax. I would pay to feed and support her children. Now, she purchased a house, which meant that all my money went for other things. And even though I'm, middle class, lower middle class, whatever, we did just fine. But I would pay as long as she stayed married to me. But that wasn't enough. So she divorced me She's probably really struggling now, but financial incentive was not enough for her to just, keep on with what I thought was a decent marriage. We didn't fight. We didn't, he was going along just fine. And then boom, oh, he's gone. How much are women swayed by financial incentives?
If
They know. They know beforehand what they're gonna get. Boy, do I know that.
right.
They
So
planned this shit beforehand, and then it's like, and I can leave him. And he's gonna. There's alimony, child support. Still has to pay the bills, insurance. Oh, and then I can get like government assistance, Medicaid, housing, food stamps.
Steve,
Hey, Nick,
Wow.
Steve.
sometimes that works.
Well, Steve,
Sometimes
I
it
don't
doesn't work.
I don't
There's
think
no
you are.
guarantee.
I don't think you're doing the math. I don't think you're doing the girl math here correctly, though. Right?
Oh, probably not. I'm not very good at girl math.
Okay, so in girl math, there is a large cost to having to spread your legs for a man. See, you want something in return for that money that you are giving her. Okay. Big Daddy government does not want anything in return from these women other than children.
Okay, so she gets paid but she doesn't have to spread her legs.
Right.
So she can spread her legs for the government, get like bonuses, or she can get paid by the government for not spreading her legs and spread her legs for free just for pleasure. Do I get the girl math right here?
Right. So the government pays her. Well, see, here's how they look at it. The government pays her to spread her legs for whoever she feels like spreading her legs for. You only pay her to spread her legs for you. See, that means that your money is not worth as much. Your money has less value. Your support has less value. So, and see, I think that is actually why, you can note that your ex-wife is financially doing worse than she was when she was with you. And my ex-wife did the same thing. And yet they did it anyway. Why? Because the perceived value of what they were getting versus what they had to give is better on the divorce side of the equation.
So women don't like quid pro quo.
No. Okay, I'm going to take that off and I'm going to put back on my last one here.
I'm being just brutal tonight. I'm sorry.
No, it's good because there is a subtle distinction here that I think a lot of men, even in the red pill, miss. It isn't just that she gets more money or less money to go with the government. Yeah, there are cases where she gets divorced, she gets more money to go to the government. Absolutely. But in a lot of them, the answer to that is actually no. They don't get more. What's actually happening is she gets her, air quotes, freedom back to fuck whoever she wants, to date whoever she wants, and Big Daddy government pays for that. So they get more freedom. Yeah, they have to accept a lower standard of living, but they still don't have to work. Or they can, here's a fun one. You can work and still get the government cheddar through child support and yeah, Nick knows what I'm talking about here, right? Okay. So you can do that.
I know very well.
Right. So you can do that, and maybe you can actually make more. Maybe you can get more.
And then marry the next sucker.
Right.
Well,
next victim.
This seems very American to me. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
She gets her life. She can, financial resources, liberty. She can do what she wants. And pursuit of happiness, adventure, journey, whatever.
New dick.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. But as with everything, that comes with a cost. And the cost is, of course, borne by the men. And so what we see is that it doesn't really matter because the men are checking out. Now, I don't have the charts up today for, you guys have all seen it before, the Pew chart that shows men skewing hard right, like crazy right. They actually did a version of this for South Korea, and South Korea is going even further, even faster. Their men are
nice.
Well, gee, I wonder how that might be showing up in the data.
Dang, I wonder if the South Korean men are more RP than the American guys.
Our red pill would not recognize them because they do not practice money muscles game at all. Their views of women, maybe, but
there's another factor. I watched a video on South Korea, and I also know what's going on in Japan. They're somewhat similar. Their work week is just absolutely brutal. Remember, South Korea went from dirt, fucking poor, destitute third world at the end of the Korean War, which was what, 1955-ish? 54, 55?
55, I think, would closer.
Okay, call it 55. They had nothing. They had nothing. I mean, it was destitute. And they built this phenomenal economy. It was a powerhouse. Well, it still is, but a powerhouse in 1990s. Remember, okay, when I was a kid, made in China, oh, that's crap. And then made in China, oh, that's good shit. Okay, when buying made in China was good shit, it was made in Korea. Oh, that's crap. Then, oh, made in Korea, that's good shit. Okay, they did phenomenal. Well, this didn't come easy or cheap or without a lot of work. So their workers were putting in 10 hours would be a short day, 12 hours average with commute time, and then time on Saturdays. So, okay, 12 times 5, that's 60 plus. Okay, I'll be generous and say it's only 6 hours on Saturday.
Yeah, it was closer to 10, but okay.
Okay, they were putting in 65 to 70 hours a week. And that's kind of still the culture. If you get into the big companies, Samsung, Hyundai, what's the name for them? Chonbei or something like that. Anyway,
the Chaebol, I think it's
Chaebol. Yeah, okay. So the kids of the mothers and fathers who put in that time, they would be middle class. They're going, what the hell? I'm going to go in that and I'm going to work 70 hours a week for what? You got to be fucking kidding me. So the young men are saying,
marry
no,
this feminist garbage woman, and then she can take
that.
the kid.
I'm not going to work that hard. I'm not going to be burning the candle at both ends. And okay, how are they raised? It's kind of similar in China, Korea, Japan. The kids go to school for, I'll call it 8 hours a day. Yeah. They don't really have extracurriculars. They have tutors.
Yep.
And they'll go another 6 hours with the tutor. And then when they're done with that, they got to do their homework. So their kids are put through the meat grinder from the age of probably 8 to 18. They're probably putting in a good 18 hours a day. Call it 18 hours with commute time and all that. They're getting no sleep, and then that's their life. And then they're supposed to go out and marry somebody and have kids to bring kids up in that same meat grinder environment. They're saying, fuck that.
Yep.
And we don't have it as bad in the US. But the younger men, I think they kind of have that same attitude. You want me to go work and then not be assured of having a wife and then have everything taken from me and be devoted and blah, that? Fuck that. Not doing it.
Well, Steve, it's fascinating. You mentioned that's called the Asian tiger mom, by the way, and these parents are heavily involved in this. And it's funny you mentioned that because there was a U.S. politician who kind of made himself a little infamous for saying that we need to import that culture to the United States so that we can stay competitive. Fuck you, Vivek Ramaswamy. The United States built a world-beating military without any of that. We are the only nation to win a war on two fronts, and we did that without anything like that. Now, did people work 6 days a week back then? Yeah, they did during the war. Yeah,
I got to put in a pro-union plug here. The union spot for the 8-hour workday. Up until the 40s, it was quite common for workers to put in 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And like 1800s, it was 12 hours a day for 6 days a week. Then they kind of was easing it. It was 12 hours a day for 5 days a week and like half a day on Saturday. That was common.
Yes.
But through the union, and yeah, it was a great movement across, not entirely union, but they led the way. No, it was an 8-hour workday, 40 hours a week, time and a half over 40. That came from the union and a group. And unions, what are unions? A group of men, because it was primarily men, banding together and saying, no, we're not doing more. You pay me a living wage, not a living wage, a family wage.
A family wage, yes.
A family wage, so I can raise my family working on 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. We've been increasing productivity. You can do that. I need to raise my family. And they did it. Now, you can criticize unions for a lot of things, but they did a lot of good in this country, too.
And that creation of families that it pushed created one of the biggest and most durable demographics in the developed world. Now, we're losing it. Like that's this bottom 3 years here. We're losing it, or bottom 3 blocks, bottom 15 years. But 1955 to 2020 was a damn good run, and that was 65 years. So, don't knock it. This idea that you can. So, we're talking about, okay, guys, population pyramid with these ridiculous work weeks. Population pyramid without. Well, in the United States, we are starting to pick up longer work weeks, particularly in service side, banking, finance, tech, they're starting to do there was a guy who died a couple months ago at Bank of America. He did like 100-hour work week and he died of a heart attack at his desk. So we are starting to see that Asian tiger culture come here to the United States, and look, Oh boy. This ain't looking so hot here, guys. So I have one more because, and I want to bring this one up, not because it shows anything that we haven't, demonstrated to the nth degree, but because this particular one is an absolute favorite of particularly the TradCons in the United States. And this is, of course, Hungary. Now, this is their population as of 2020. And if you look here, you'll see that there's a huge spike of women in 2020, age 36 to 40, we'll call it 48. Okay, huge spike, but then even down to 28, so there's a spike and then it's flat down to 28. Okay, we'll call it 20 years. 20 years of lots of women, but that lots of women is front loaded into the older segment, and you've got to roll it back by another 4 years. So these women are, this particular chunk of women has fully aged out of childbearing at this point. Okay. Why don't we take a look at Hungary's TFRs? Shit. Here we go again.
Again, replacement level is 2.1, right?
2.1.
So
Last
they
time
hit it at
1977 was the last time they saw.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Their TFR, their low point was 1.23 in 2011. 2011 is, and this is the reason that everyone likes this. 2011 was the year before Viktor Orban enacted his pro-natal, pro-family policies. They mostly went into place in 2012. There was some going on before, but it was kind of half-assed. And so everyone goes, aha, see, it worked. Bounce. And then it goes up and up and up and up and up and up till you get to 2021.
Whoa, hold on. He reversed the trend. There's been no lower low since that time. Now the trend is up. Problem solved. He reversed
Isn't it
the
just an
trend.
echo? Is it partly an echo?
Oh, Nick, you say you're not a financial analyst. You're using
I'm not.
technical analysis now. Yes, innately you are.
So, well,
and that's why Plutarch is chuckling.
Yes, and there's a reason why I led off with the demographic pyramid.
You're leading me. Okay.
Yes, I'm leading to the answer here. So if you take this, so 2012 was, let's see, the data ends 2023. So 2012 was 20 years before that. So if you take this chart and you take, this was 47, and you knock 20 years off of 47, you get to 27. Shit. Prime childbearing age for women was when there were the most women out there. Here's the deal. No matter what happened, Hungary's fertility rate was going to go higher for the next 20 years. And it was going to go up at the highest rate for, look, this is almost too perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 years right there are when their fertility rate is climbing the high. Well, it's 6. But I mean, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, those were the years when they had the most women of childbearing age. Right in here. And then remember how I talked about this flat spot in here? Oh, look what happened. The rate of change slowed down significantly. And
that's an echo despite government incentives. No, that's an echo which also includes government incentives.
Yes.
And it still didn't go up enough.
Correct. Nick, Nick, you actually just nailed it completely. They did. Okay, here, I'm just going to pull this up so you guys can see. This is their long list of incentives. No country does anything like this. They do salary support. They do tax benefits. Now the tax benefits are
Mothers.
for the women.
Again.
Mothers with 4
Not
or
the
more
fa-
children are completely exempt from income taxes. Now, here's the thing. Hungary actually does do things for married couples.
Okay.
Okay, they actually do. So you can get a tax, they call it this is like their version of a tax credit for 2 years after getting married. Their housing support actually does apply to married couples. Okay. So their housing support, you can, children use public transport for free. You can get a purchase of a 7-seat car. Okay. But here we go again. Here's the maternity benefit. 225% of the minimum pension at the time of the birth of the child. Holy crap. Okay. In the case of twins, it goes up to 300%. And this is in 2017 dollars. So I'm not going to sit here and try and do the. Oh, of course, you get preferential mortgage rates like you do in Russia. Yeah. Okay. Free or reduced costs. You get a child care allowance up to, now this doesn't includes fathers, up to 140% of the current minimum wage. Somebody actually calculated what all of this different stuff totals up to, and it works out to about 89,000 euros. So, which is about $110,000 per child. And that they were not able to include some of these non-monetary benefits. So extra paid vacation, having grandmother, they actually pay grandmothers to come in and spend time with the grandchildren. I mean, some of these things are actually like, they're not bad ideas, but Hungary didn't just throw money at the problem. They threw anything they could think of at the problem.
It still didn't fix the problem. You just had an
Well-
echo, and even with all those incentives, it still failed.
Well, here's
Like
their
everywhere.
bigger problem. 2 years later, they spent basically 10 years digging out of a hole. They went from 1.2 to 1.6, and then gave back a quarter of that in 2 years.
That's a dramatic increase. So all the economists were going, yay, look, and demographers and sociologists and all that. Everybody's celebrating. Yes, we're doing it. It's working. But, okay, those are not the people who are going to solve the problem. It's the engineers and the traders. You have to have a market mentality, a trader mentality, to be able to look at trends and echoes and bounces. You have to have a trader like financial ability to look at this to predict the future. And then kind of an engineer attitude to look at the past and say what affects us. No, economists don't do that. Sociologists don't do that. Demographers don't do that. Politicians sure as hell don't do that. So, yeah, it's the simple thing is, damn, children are born of women of childbearing age. If we want to have more children, it's simple. We just need more women of childbearing age. Wait, it doesn't work that way. You have more childbearing age women, then you have more children. Duh.
Right.
Yeah, but the fertility rates of women, they get married later, and they tend not to have as many children. And when they decide to have children, it tends to be when their fertility starts to go out. Yeah, and the feminism problem. Career, kids. Divorce
Well,
dad, take his money. Get kids. Guys see this, guys check out. Guys say, what's in it for me?
right. Like everyone is bending over backwards on Twitter, especially trying to make this an economic problem, because if it's not an economic problem, then well, then they can't make it somebody else's problem. And when you talk to these people, what they're really hoping for is a quick fix solution that they can collectivize the cost of. Okay? They don't want to have to actually work personally to solve the problem. Now, and I'm not talking about having kids. Most of these people advocating this actually have kids. By trying to make it an economic problem, what you're saying is, I don't want to have to change any of the social or political rules that we're operating under. I just want to be able to take some of your money to throw some of you. I want to take some of your money to throw at this problem and tell myself that I have done a good thing in solving this problem.
Sounds
Sure.
very boomer.
It's incredibly
Now,
boomer.
I list. Okay, our discussion today, birth rate problem. It has gained in popularity over the last year because we've been streaming for a year. We've been talking about, well, alluding to this problem, well, kind of in the early days. And then we've done other streams on it. The amount of people talking about this has grown dramatically. So earlier this week, I listened to a stream. Mads Larson. He's a Norwegian guy who is addressing very smart guy. And he goes back through history. And he's talking about, well, yeah, the family problem, birth rates. He's concerned about birth rates. And so he's talking about a correlation between women having more freedom. First, freedom to marry whoever they want, then freedom to be educated, and then all this stuff. Yeah, the more freedom, and call it choices, women get, the less babies they have. And now we're at a crisis. Norway, Sweden, Europe, US, Korea, Japan. All of them. Okay, Western civilization is at a crisis. So we have to solve this. But we have made so much progress as a society in enabling women to have more freedom and options that somehow we can't move back on that. So we have to solve the problem without, well, maintaining the options and the freedom and the choices that women have. I don't know. So we gotta invent a new solution rather than go back to what worked. Now, okay, wish you luck. I just, it's a hard pill to swallow. But the more choices women have to do other things, the less they're going to choose to have children. The less women are dependent on a man for their life and everything. Okay, give them other options to go to daddy government. Yeah, they don't need the man. Then they're not going to have kids. Seems to me in history, when women needed men, they stayed married, they got married young, and they had kids. Now, call me crazy if I think that's a solution.
Well, no, they're not going to call you crazy. They're going to call you misogynist.
So what if I am, even though I'm not? I am everything and worse. Yeah, I'm a terrible person. Whatever. No, we're not misogynists. They're just misandrous.
Actually, that's a great way to describe it because you've actually defined the Overton window. Look, guys, I'm married and I rather enjoy my wife's company. She most of the time. Occasionally she gets on my nerves, but you know what? She's a human. That happens. She's not an inherently bad person to be around, and she certainly is not like the common whore out there that men have to deal with. Okay. No, I am not a misogynist. Sorry, guys. Nice try. Nice try. Try again. But Nick, I think you have correctly called it. Is we live in an era of misandry, and then everyone is sitting here whining and complaining about. Look, the TFR number is a direct result of the misandry. Why would men have children? Why? You're just going to
World
use them,
hates us.
right? Yeah, you're just
You
going to
can't-
use them to financially grape me anyway.
Employment hates us. The government hates us.
Yep.
Of course,
Oh, Nick, why do men have to solve this problem?
Because women can't. I'm sorry.
What? No,
women can't
seriously.
solve this. They'll
Okay,
just smother it to death.
We've got three guys here talking about this. All the solutions. Trump has a solution. Cruz has a solution. Orban in Hungary has a solution. It's all men coming up with the solutions. Why the fuck do men have to come up with a solution? This problem happened during the era of feminism. Let's let the women solve this one.
They won't.
Why not, Nick?
They'll double down. They'll double down.
They will.
What?
I agree with Nick.
Are you a misogynist? Don't you think women are capable of solving this problem?
Capability is one thing. The will to do it is another.
I would go so far as to say that women are not capable of solving. Actually, I'm going to slightly rephrase that. Humans, the humans who create the problem are not capable of solving it. Otherwise, they would not have created it in the first place. Okay.
Well, let's put it this way. I believe men are meant to rule and lead, and could you have a bunch of Queen Elizabeths or Victorias running around? Okay, sure. 1 in a million, right? I'll give Men are built to fix things. Men are built to be leaders and rule. It's not going to happen without the men doing it.
Well, Steve, I actually heard a different question when you originally posed it, and let me see if this different question hits you any different. Why should men want to fix this problem?
That's it really is a good question, because the answer is men don't want to fix the problem. Young men are just doing their own thing. They're saying, no, nothing I can do, and I can't fix the problem. Why can't they fix the problem? Well, because they're smart enough to know that you can't force women to do anything. This problem is kind of an application of force. Now, it could be force, could be physical force, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's the force of circumstances. And all throughout society, when we had sustainable birth rates, it was the force of circumstances and fathers and culture that caused it. So an individual man cannot solve this because he can't force the circumstances And he certainly can't use physical force, nor does he want to, nor would it be effective. So he's saying, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well,
Well,
okay.
why should you want to fix it? I'll tell you why you should want to fix it.
Excellent.
Whether you can or not is another thing. Is we're designed to, by God, to be fruitful and multiply. We should want to have families, fully function nuclear family unit with extended family around us, see our children's children, as the Bible says. Yeah, we should want to cleave to our wife. Yeah, we should, and we should want our place and people to prosper, our nation, our country. Those are good things. That's why you
Well,
should want it to be fixed.
thank
Well,
God I'm
That's a
24.
dream. That's currently a dream.
Nick, thank God I'm 25 years older than you. Because, I'm not that far away from being old and decrepit in a nursing home and need someone to clean up when I shit all over the bed. But hopefully, we'll have enough workers to tend to me in my old age. I think by the time you get to be that age, we're going to be in trouble.
we are. There is no getting around that. And Nick, you did a very good exposition there, and I want to summarize it. Men should want to, for their own benefit in the future. It is to the benefit of humanity that men would fix this problem. The fact that men have largely chosen not to me, people can disagree with me, you guys can disagree with me. The fact that they've chosen not to tells you that men are so fed up, are so done with this, that they would rather watch it burn. Because once it's done burning, you're going to know, the men are going to know who is valuable and who is not. And I'm speaking to the who here is women. It's going to be in physics, they talk about one of the answers to the Fermi paradox is called the Great Filter. Many civilizations do not make it past the Great Filter. The Great Filter has its origins, or actually, that's the other way around. The Great Filter was proposed before we had the genetic evidence that we also have been through genetic great filters before. Only 40% of male DNA is alive today. That was versus 10,000 years ago. Rollo's talked about that. We're probably doing that again. Humanity will probably survive this, but most people will not. And if you look throughout history, I can go back and show you other times where, fertility rates were lower than replacement. Because one of the things you have to understand about this data is we only go back about 100 years, which is also about the length of time we've had modern medicine. It used to be you did not even name your child till they were 1 year old because there was such a high chance of them dying. The replacement rate was not 2.1. It was closer to 5.1, 5.5. Okay. You had to have 5.5 kids just to replace society, just to keep replacement. Okay. So, we're using our modern definition of replacement here, but you cannot take that and apply it back to an era from before modern medicine keeps most children alive and most mothers alive. Okay. So if you then level it, you can see there's plenty of times in history where the TFRs have actually gone beneath that replacement rate. This has happened before. This will happen again. Okay. Believe it or not, the TFRs being low is not inherently morally bad. From a moral standpoint, as Nick, as you were talking about, it's a dream to be able to do what the Bible says. Well, the Bible also frequently talks about how the church is going to, some churches will be left to rot, to die, to go away. Some humans will be left to rot, to die, to go away. Not everyone gets, and this is probably the greatest, philosophical sin of the United States, is belief that everyone is owed access to the future. No, not no, at no time in history would anyone have believed you if you said that you are owed access to the future. And the Bible makes it very clear that you are not owed access to the future. Okay. So this has happened before. It'll happen again. It's happening right now. The men are doing it. And here's the kicker that I'm going to say, it's okay. But if you want to actually solve it, you are not going to solve it with money.
Okay, there are many, including us, who will say, "What are the men doing to solve this?" I would say, nothing. Okay, well, for the sake of argument, let's assume, in general, men are doing nothing to solve this. Okay, now let's just move it to a greater question. And I'll ask this to both Nick and Plutarch. If you guys individually are faced with a problem and you need to take an action, but any action you take has virtually no chance of success, what are you going to do?
Nothing.
Well, I would respond to the question: what's the cost of action?
The cost of action. Oh, it's going to cost you something. Half your wealth to take an action with virtually no chance of success.
Or we could say with a 50-50 chance of success.
Yeah, whatever.
So in a financial analysis model, do you know what you do when you're encountered with those odds and those costs? Do you know what the answer is? Don't do it.
Nothing. The answer is don't do anything. Just sit on your ass, wait for conditions to change till the calculus of the outcome has to be greater than the risk that whatever you're putting at risk, there has to be a return on investment. And no, not everybody puts it in those words. But whatever the cost that I do today, better have an outcome that's worth the effort that I put into it. Right now, men do not see that there is a good outcome regardless of the amount of effort.
Steve, you actually got me thinking a little bit here. And Nick.
Well, thanks. That's what I was hoping to do.
and Nick, you might find this a little interesting. We have done recently a couple of streams on morality. We did a stream on the philosophy of morality a couple of weeks ago, and then last week we did a stream on the practicality of morality. And one of the things that Nick and I spent a little bit of time talking about in our philosophy of morality stream is that choosing to do nothing is still a choice that still carries a morality with it.
Right.
Okay.
Sure.
If the choice to do nothing is the most beneficial choice for the species, that makes that choice to do nothing the moral good.
Well, but the choice to do nothing first and foremost is made by me. Is it good for me? Is it good for my future? Then after, and maybe an ancillary, I'll look for society. But most people operate first and foremost on personal choices for themselves.
That's true. That's true, but I
It's the
think
same answer. It's the same answer either way.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to get at here is that if burning society down is the only way to improve the outcome of the future, then burning society down is the correct moral and ethical choice. And in this case, we're not burning it down by lighting the fire. We're burning it down by saying, yeah, you lit that fire and now you've got a nice big old house bonfire on your hands. And we're just not going to dive in to save you from the mess you've made. So
you don't want to rebuild the house?
No,
until it's burnt to the ground and the embers are
Yes.
dead and burnt out?
Correct. I will not rebuild the house until the house has burnt down. And it turns out that
I'll rebuild it if they burn down feminism. Then I'll rebuild it.
Well, they're working on it. But I do want to make something very clear. This choice that men are making today absolutely has serious costs, both now and in the future. There are going to be fewer people in this world by 2050 than there are today. The estimate cone, the error cones on the estimates are pretty wide, but almost no demographer thinks that we're going to have more people today than by 2050 than we do today. Like when you sit down, you do the actual math, it's really just you're haggling over how many you're going to lose.
Talk about a housing crisis.
Let me point out one other thing. Okay, well, let's just talk the U.S. What's the what you're calling total fertility rate?
TFR, yes.
And TFR in the U.S. right now, 1.5, 1.6?
1.6.
Okay. And what's the goal?
2.1 or better.
Oh, no, 2.1. Oh, that's replacement rate. Bullshit. That's not the goal. In order to reverse this, we need more people. 2.1 is not the target. That's not the target. You need 4.
Yep. I was just going to say 4
you need
or
to
3.5.
shoot for 4 because you've been down for so long. Now it's time to rebuild. Rebuilding means more. So you can't just go back to neutral or replacement rate. No, you got to go 3.5, 4, whatever the number is. So, and I'm going to just stay with 4 for the sake of argument. So every woman, on average, needs to have 4 kids. 4. What does that mean? In order to have 4 kids and account for life circumstances, when does she have to start popping out kids to have 4 kids?
If you're not started by 23, you probably won't make it to 4.
I was going to say 22, but 22, 23.
Yeah, let's allow for medical advances a little bit.
Okay, 23. So 23. How long should you know a guy before you get married?
2 years would be good, but 1
2
year
years.
is common.
It's gonna take. Yeah, you might have the childhood or the high school sweetheart didn't work out. So yeah, you probably better find that guy by the time you're 21. Wait a minute. No. 20.
Okay.
It's got to be 20 because you got to know him 2 years. Then you got to get engaged. And then, you need that Cinderella wedding. And it takes a year to plan the fucking wedding because it's her special day. Yeah. Oh, could this be part of the problem too? Anyway, 20. You better find your guy by 20 and be serious about it. And this is average. So some are going to find their guy, better find and settle on him at 18, some at 20, a few at 22. But
Oh,
you
here,
got to
can you
get serious. Hold on. Shit.
can you guys hear
If
me?
you're going to have this guy at
Yes, Nick.
18, 20, what?
I can't hear. Am I
Oh,
muted?
18, 20, 22. Holy shit. This is right in the middle of your college years, your journey going having fun years in college. Oh my God. This implies that in order for us to really turn this around, education, women's education might need to take a backseat to other priorities. Oh my God, the implications of this,
Enormous.
they're humongous, enormous. Yes. This is how big the societal changes have to be by necessity to solve
Mathematically.
this problem. You can't argue with me. You
Well,
have to get women serious about finding the man, getting married, staying married, having kids, and then none of this no-fault divorce bullshit. Because you fail. Society fails if she divorces him and raises kids as a single mother. Nope, that's a fail. You do not pass go. You do not get $200. This will not save society. It's not kids. It's intact families, young mothers staying married to the man that fathered their kids.
as Tacticus says, society has to support, reward, incentivize, and protect nuclear family dynamics and roles. Absolutely. And we don't mean monetary support, reward, and incentivize. That can be a part of the package if you wish it to. But looks like Nick's having technical issues there. But the society has to be structured around the nuclear family. As Nick would say, natural law. Okay. You can't just throw money at this problem without building a support structure around it. Okay. If there's no support structure, then it doesn't matter how much money you throw at this problem. You could print all the trillions of dollars. They will still not have children because society has determined that it is not interested in having children. And how do we know society has determined that? Oh, look, I can go back to the 60s and we can see that society is not interested in having children. Okay. I don't care how much money you throw at it. You know, there's people say, oh, the federal government's debt is, 30 trillion dollars it is. And the Fed could monetize every fucking penny of it. And this number won't get better. Okay. You could give mommies $1 million and all you would do is create the world's biggest inflationary spiral and destroy more wealth. Because what would these women do? They would be going out to men, begging to get their seed, and then go back to Medicaid and throw away the child, basically. The child becomes a throwaway just so they can get the financial benefit. There is absolutely no reason to pay women to have children. All you do is incentivize single mommies having children and then dumping them back on the system later once they've got their baby bucks.
Well, Plutarch, come on. The answer to this is obvious. People get divorced because They don't pray together enough. The birth rate is down because Christians are not praying about this matter.
I wish that were the reason, but I can guarantee you that in 1976 there were twice as many people as families playing together, or more than there are today.
No, okay.
Come at me. Come at me.
It sounds like I'm trivializing prayer. No, I'm not. Prayer cannot solve things that it doesn't, in general, do miracles. When things are set up a certain way and the trends are going and the past affects it, you can pray as hard as you want. And you can't change what has been set in motion. You can't, does it work? For you to pray to win the lottery? No. And to change this demographic trend, it's like praying to win the lottery.
Well, Steve, I had just thought of a little quip for that. God set the rules of this universe in motion, and you're praying him to suspend those rules for you. I think he made those rules the way he did for a good reason. And I think that I'm not saying he can't, but I think there's quite a bit of hubris in thinking that your special pleading is worthy of him coming down and suspending the rules that he created.
That's a good point. Yeah. But you know what? Here's the problem. You and I are talking about faith matters. And we have former Pastor Nick here who's just being silent. We should let him speak on this.
Well, yeah, pray God could work miracles, but don't count on it. He tends to give people over to what they are. These women, even these trad wives, are lipstick on a pig. They are 304s putting on a trad mask. Hey, you can have a bunch of kids. Hey, maybe you actually have a traditional life. You can have a bunch of kids. And I hope everything works out for you. You should pray. Praying's a good thing. Yeah, prayer can build things up. But hey, if she's around a lot of nasty women and maybe they're divorced and she knows she might get a lot more government benefits and your bed's drying up. Yeah, pray all you want, but you might want to prepare an exit plan. Pray to God to give you an exit plan because you're about to get railroaded.
So Chief left a Bible verse that sums up what we're talking about, or a portion of one. Don't put the Lord thy God to the test. And that's kind of what these special pleading prayers are doing. That's what these prosperity gospel types are doing. I was railing against Mark Driscoll on Twitter earlier. Shu knows what I'm talking about. For the exact same thing. It is unbiblical. It is logically bankrupt. There's no truth to be found in it. It is literally just wish casting at well, to use the Old Testament term, you're wish casting at ball. Okay. Congratulations, Mark Driscoll. You're just wish casting at an idol. Yay for you.
Hey, in Isaiah chapter 3, the women were haughty. They had wanton eyes, outstretched necks. They had all these things, right? All these accessories. Life was good in Israel until it wasn't. Then they're so desirous. They would have their own bread, make their own bread. As long 7 women to 1 man in Isaiah chapter 4. Isaiah 3, that good times created good times, people living off the good times, and then the good times of a decadent culture that's given over to its lusts and its crap with nasty women turns into desperate women just wanting to have a man's name.
You know, we've forecasted the increase in the trad wife persona, mask. So women are going to try and do that. I suggest that we establish some kind of criteria. You know, if you're looking for a job, you have to give a resume. What have you done? So let's start an abbreviation for those aspiring trad wives out there. In order to really show that you are the person, let's put a number after that. TW2 means you get 2 kids. TW3 means you have 3 kids, and so forth. Now, you lose the designation once you file for divorce. You're no longer trad. So here's the deal. You have to be trad. You have to get married. You have to stay married. And you have to have kids. And you know what? You're not much unless it's TW3. What do you guys think?
Well, Steve, how dare you impose standards on women? A. I mean, and acronyms, well, you know, that's kind of a male thing. I think the women would look at you and go, silly guy. Who cares about that?
Okay.
I'm not saying it's bad. And the men could use that. I mean, we could use that to this would be fun. All those trad TikTokers. Okay, how many kids do you have? But we did say on a recent stream that one of the biggest red flags, that was our lipstick on a pig stream. One of the biggest red flags for, or no, it's not. It was actually our stream on Elena's channel 2 weeks ago, where we were talking about the different red flags for trad wives. And one of the things we said is she on social media? So I would say, you know, the very first criteria has to be, if you're claiming trad wife status, there's no social media preference for you. There's no social media for you. You don't get that. You want to be on Instagram, that's fine, but you're not trad. You don't. So, you know, Steve, you're saying trad wife 3 for 3 kids. Yeah, no. If you're on social media, nope. You never get to claim trad wife status.
Oh, so you're saying your criteria is a trad wife can't brag.
Correct.
What about a dowry?
A dowry.
That relies on the father, and we need Shaw.
Yeah.
To discuss.
Yeah, we would need Shaw to really dive into that.
Because that's a whole nother world. And we could go 2 hours on that one.
Yeah. we're not going to go 4 hours on you tonight, guys. We know some of you are East Coasters and you all need to get to bed. So
no hymen, no diamond, right?
Well, I can tell you about half a dozen different ways that the hymen thing doesn't work. If she ever rode horses, it's probably torn anyway. So they've actually done studies on this. Turns out it's not a great way of determining it. It's the best they had back then, but anyway.
What a convenient way. Oh, I rode horses. That's why.
Oh, well, I mean, women do love their horses, don't they?
Yeah, she might have ride a lot of it.
Yeah.
you won't know.
Here's the thing. You never really will know. One of the things that I am eternally grateful to the Red Pill for establishing is that women will, and it is to their best interest to lie about their body counts. So now you just assume it.
Assume they're promiscuous.
Yeah.
Nick, women like fun. They like the carnival. One of the ancient rides on the carnival is the carousel. The carousel is full of horses. How do you know she just didn't ride a carousel horse?
You don't.
I got the music in my background.
Well, gentlemen,
clip. We should make a sound bite.
I don't have a stream deck or anything. I need something like that. Well, gentlemen, have we beat this topic to death again? I mean, I personally love demographics. I love the mathematical inevitability of it. Guys, everything we're talking about was something that your last opportunity to change was 25 years ago. Okay, so 2000 was the last time you could change this. As a society, we were too short-sighted to see that. We are going to pay the cost. So when I say that this is happening, and there's nothing we can do about it. You start trying to change course now. You have 4 kids, as Steve suggests, mathematically. Even to get back to where we need to be, that's 4 kids by the majority of women for 10 years. We are talking about something that is just so far beyond where we are as a culture right now that the collapse is mathematically inevitable, but that's okay. It's happened before, and it is necessary to do that or even let that happen to the women.
So let me give some advice to our audience. First of all, this topic is going to become more and more popular. It's going to be discussed. And people are not going to understand the implications. They're going to come up with workarounds, excuses, all kinds of things, and not get it. Okay, now, if you listen to this, you kind of understand what's at stake and what the issues are. I don't care if you agree with us or disagree with us. At least you're introduced. Now, furthermore, if you try and correct and educate people when these discussions come up, they're going to look at you like, what a fucking idiot, what a tool, what a misogynist, what this and that. Yeah, you know what? Just smile and nod your head and say, oh, yeah, it's bad. Just keep your mouth shut and let them flounder through it, because nothing good is going to come from you trying to educate them.
Mostly, you're just going to convince them that you're stupid. And I know that makes no sense, because you're saying, well, but I'm talking facts and figures and I can back it up. And there's this math and that chart. Idiocracy took this to kind of an absurd, but Idiocracy was an argumentum ad absurdum. Okay. I have had so many people, when I present them with the actual facts of Hungary, because they love to bring up Hungary, because Hungary shoveled all this money at women, and I bring up the actual facts, and I get told that I'm an idiot, that I can't do math, or my personal favorite, you just don't understand, bro, with the either implied or explicitly stated, it'll work here, or some variant of it'll work this time.
Special pleading. That's called special pleading.
Correct. Most people that you argue with will not have the mental horsepower to understand the arguments that they're making. And this includes most people you talk to on Twitter. Frankly, I've had some arguments with people who I was kind of like, guy, you're not smart enough to realize that you're giving away how not smart you are.
Yeah, I think it's like less than 5 in 100 people can you have a serious discussion with. If you're talking about this kind of stuff, it might not be 5, it might be 4, it might be 3. It's
probably closer to 2.
Exceedingly, yeah, maybe it's an exceedingly small number. It's like, okay, is it, at best it's 1 in 20 at best, and it might be 1 in 50.
Yeah. And I mean, we could probably, we've done streams on IQ before. We could do streams on intelligence and whatnot. I have actually gotten, as I've worked through with people on the internet, I've gotten pickier about who I engage for this exact reason. I can make an argument. Go ahead, Nick.
There's a little there's this thing in the Bible, I think it's Matthew, about casting pearls before swine.
I remember that one. I do.
It's like, sometimes you don't answer a fool according to his folly, unless you yourself basically become a fool yourself. Yeah. You, there's a time where you just have to just do nothing.
Well, but then people, the midwits in the group then invariably ask, so why do you guys talk about this kind of stuff at all? Well, it's not because there are, that we're not trying to talk up to people who are smarter than us. We're not even trying to talk down to people who aren't as smart as the people in our chat. And you guys are pretty damn smart. You guys, you're cool. This is about trying to shift the Overton window. Okay. So one of the things you'll hear us say is and see us do is, we never attack the man, we only ever attack the idea. Because the only way to start turning the only way to start getting rid of bad ideas is to offer better ideas, is to offer new ideas. Okay. Tearing other people down makes for great TV, but it doesn't help anything. And all it does is continue the destruction, fractalization, fragmentation of society. You cannot build anything when you're tearing down other people. But if you're tearing down their shit ideas, that is useful. And so that's why we spend so much time going after the TradCons or the church. Okay. Occasionally we even have to talk back to the red pill guys a little bit, although their ideas, we don't have to do as much with them, because sadly the red pill guys might actually be higher on the IQ stack than the church guys, which is a frightening thought. And should terrify you church listeners out there that I have to say that. Okay. The red pill guys are probably smarter than you. Get used to it. Shut up and listen would be what my message to the church right now on this. So that's why we talk the way we do. Our mission is not to attack people. We're not interested in attacking people. We want to dismantle ideas and offer up new ones. So
as we watch the collapse, and hopefully I hope it doesn't have to go that way, but that's kind of the way it's going. And hopefully we can have a seat at the table when we need to fix everything. There's a question in the chat. 7 man.
This is a good one for Steve.
Oh, I don't know. How much money do you have?
Uh-oh, he's got something in mind.
You know what? Go on eBay. Buy the best footwear you can. You know what? Just as a shout out, I just got this pair.
Those are nice looking.
Ooh, these are Russell moccasins. Probably the most comfortable out there. Okay, you bought them new, about 600-ish. I still had to pay $200. But damn, are they nice. Okay, what a
There
silly
you go.
answer. But
There you go, Chief. There you go.
I'll humor our audience.
Well, and you know, Chief, thank you. Thank you for listening. Yeah, we don't have a huge audience, but we do appreciate those of you who do listen. So, we're
And I like
we're
those off the wall questions to challenge us and to poke some fun at us because hey, that's great.
it's a great question. And thank you, Chief. Thank you for putting him on the spot like that. He needs it. Alex, yeah, actually, I just had a visual of the three of us, we're up on a ridge somewhere watching a city burn while we've got whiskey in one hand and a cigar in the other, and we're just out on the porch, Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like
But
Nero.
you know what?
That sounds like Nero. I
Woodchuck
got
is
Nero
not
images.
going to do that.
That's correct. I'm not. It
He's
sounds
not going to enjoy the decline. He's going to be out smoking a cigar saying, fuck the decline. Fuck the decline.
Yeah, Steve, you know me too well. You know me too well. Here's the thing. I'm old enough and Gen X enough to understand the appeal of just enjoy the decline, but I'm too young and too millennial to actually follow through and do that because I have to live with whatever comes afterwards. And damn it, I want a seat at that table. And I'm not going to get the seat at that table if I'm up on the ridge watching it all burn. So here we are.
You know what? As long as you just stay up there till the embers die out, and then you can walk down there and then have the discussion and rebuild the house after the fire's gone out. I think you'll be fine.
Well, I've been thinking about that a little bit, and to our listeners out there, there is going to be a period where the best thing for you to do is to be very quiet. Maybe you have a house already, or something like that. Just keep it. Be very quiet about it. The world is going to get much worse from here, so maybe that's your version of enjoy the decline. Because there will be a period where the best thing to do is to be silent. Not for very long, but during that period, it's not unlikely that that we could be in a situation where just sticking your head out at all is enough to get it cut off. And you know what you can't do after the house is burned down? If you're dead, you can't build a new one. So, there will come a point where survival becomes a key aspect of your decision making. We are not there yet, guys. We are many years away from that. But when it comes, just be aware that even we might go silent. We might just look around and go, yeah, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, when there's a power vacuum, that tends to be dictators and all sorts
Okay,
of
they
things.
got trading terminology about this. If you go all in and you're wrong and it goes down and you're losing money, Now you're hurting. And when the real buying opportunity comes along, do you have any dry powder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you always want to keep some dry powder. Meaning, don't go all in, be prudent, risk what you can, but always have some dry powder because when it's time for the reversal, you need some energy, something to put in. And Plutarch, what happens to traders who don't follow this philosophy and don't have dry powder?
We have another term for them. Body bagged. As in getting carried out in.
Okay, then these life lessons apply in so many different areas. And actually, I wasn't a good trader. I tried my best. I made so damn many mistakes, as do the vast majority of people. So I don't do it
Indeed.
anymore. But I still was it a bad idea? No, I learned a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I can apply those lessons elsewhere in my life. And when things go wrong, I can say, well, shit, I did it again. At least I know why I failed.
Oh, do I know that feeling? I did it again.
Well, okay,
any trader who's had any success will tell you that the bulk of their career is shit.
Do traders have to learn humility?
Yes, they do. Good night, Tacticus. We're wrapping up here, as you figured out. And no, Tacticus, we have no idea what we're doing next week. We'll figure it out.
It's on next turn.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I'm sure he's got something cooking up there.
I've got a few things I'm working on.
Excellent. So, I don't know, Steve. Have we beat this topic to death yet?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Anybody have anything else they want to say?
Free money, but not for you if you're a man. And it won't fix shit.
It'll just make your tax burden worse, quite literally, which will actually make men check out even more. Like that is the sum total of this whole thing. Anyway, I'm done ranting. I swear I'm done ranting about this. Steve, do you have anything else to say?
I think our conversation today is 3 to 4 years ahead of everyone else.
I agree. Yeah, we are way too soon. And look, when you're trading too soon is technically wrong. But demographics is a slow moving thing. These trends have been in play for 25, 30 years. They're not going to turn around and go home tomorrow. Nope. So, 3 or 4 years ahead. Yeah, okay. That's what, maybe 15% of the time.
Don't invest today. Just keep your eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
Just know where things are going. Don't invest too early. Don't try and convince people before they've learned lessons the hard way.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, okay, this is where the trend is going. Could we be wrong? Quite possibly. No. Unlikely.
So what are some kitty litter and boxed wine companies? So what are some kitty litter and boxed wine companies to invest in?
Chewy. You want Chewy and Trupanion.
Or write these down.
Amazon's also a big one in the cat food space, in the animal food
Chewy
space.
and Chewy Junior.
Trupanion. So Chewy, Trupanion, and Amazon are 3 big names if you want to actually invest in that space.
That's kitty litter.
Yeah.
I don't know if Amazon can turn a profit. Just
I was going to find boxed wine.
Kitty litter and cat food.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is they sell a lot of it. So, you guys, we are not a finance channel. Please do your own due diligence. This is not financial advice at all. Now I have to say that because Nick asked. So,
It was in a jesting manner, but semi serious.
but now I have to say it.
Yeah, we're not we're not giving you official financial advice or anything official. It's all yeah.
This is all quite tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
So, guys, the people we're talking about this 3 or 4 years in advance of when it matters. People are not ready to hear this. When they are ready to hear this, you will know because they will be asking you. Okay? You can say things like, "Oh, well, what I've started doing is as I just drop a fact, like one of the facts that, oh yeah, our TFRs are 1.6 and falling." And they'll go, "Oh, okay." But you're not really challenging them or attacking their ideas or anything. You just drop it out there as a fact. And then, but now, 3 to 4 years from now, they'll remember, hey, that guy knew what he was talking about. I should go ask him. People will tell you when they're ready.
This is like the fart in the elevator as you leave. Yeah. It lingers.
Yeah. So don't try and preach the gospel of demographics. The good Lord knows I've tried on Twitter. Okay. Let them come to you when they are so desperate for a solution and none of the other solutions have worked. Let them come to you and then you educate them. Why? Because that is the first moment that they will be willing to listen to what you have to say. We absolutely can put feminism back in the box. Okay. Not right now. First, things have to hurt so much that the people come and they ask, what can we do to fix this? We've tried this, we've tried that, and we can even say, you know what? We told you that wouldn't work 4, 5, 6 years ago. You didn't listen. And you use this, are you willing to listen now? And if they say yes, work with them. Have that compassion on them. They're desperate. They want an answer. Everything they and do remember that everything they believed has literally fallen apart right in front of their eyes. If you have ever seen somebody lose their religion, it is a heart-wrenching experience to watch somebody go through. Okay. So, when we get to this place, you'll see us even approach it with compassion and the heart of a teacher. So, yeah. Well, join us for Saturday. I have no idea what Elena's got planned because she has no idea. Next week, Nick is up. And so we're probably going to get something. We're either going to get something that is, knowing Nick, it's either going to be very biblical based or it's going to be completely off the wall and totally on target. So looking forward to whatever you come up with there, Nick.
Right.
If you guys have questions, please drop us a comment. Sometimes we can respond to them. Sometimes Twitter tells us no, or YouTube tells us no. So yeah, other than that, if you like what you heard and want to hear more, drop us a subscribe. If you like the stream, if you like, actually, I'm going to do a twist on this. If you like the stream, don't like the video, go like the comments underneath. Not because it helps us with the arguments, but because it helps boost and helps our community a bit. So, yeah, and we will see you all on Saturday and next Wednesday. Later.
There was a firefight! Son of a bitch!